So, gerade haben wir ein technisches Problem gehabt, jetzt sind wir aber hundertprozentig wieder da. Stanley Portable, das ist das Ganze, was wir jetzt für euch oder mit euch spielen werden. Ich habe hier alles ja jetzt auf dem falschen Monitor, ne? Das ist ja ganz schlimm. Ach Mensch, das nur passieren konnte. So. Das ist wahrscheinlich immer noch nicht. Oder? Ist das jetzt? Nein. Das wäre ja interessant, wenn das jetzt funktionieren würde. Aber okay. Wir starten hier oder gehen jetzt mal in das Spiel. Ihr seht's. Ihr kriegt es jetzt auch zu hören. Schön. Deswegen gehen wir mal ganz kurz hier in die Steuerung nochmal rein. Aber ist klar. WHSD-Item benutzen. Okay, ja, das ist ja. Okay. Okay, Extras, Achievements, Datenspeichern aktiv. Achievement freigeschaltet. Schön. Starten wir einfach mal in das Spiel. Ich weiß nicht, was das für ein Spiel ist. Ich bin da selber jetzt überrascht mich jetzt selber, was das für ein Spiel ist. Also ich bin da wirklich sehr offen, was jetzt kommt zu uns. Never the end is never the end is never the end. Loading. Nachdem es geladen hat, geht es dann gleich los. Mit dem Spiel. So, heute haben wir wirklich aber sehr viele Stream-Unterbrechungen, ne? Das ist unglaublich. Jetzt möchte YouTube nicht.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Also wir sind hier, okay, wir sind jetzt hier also im Office und können uns jetzt tatsächlich auch bewegen. Und das ist jetzt hier ein bisschen so. Wir haben hier keine Instruktion, was wir machen sollen. Können uns aber bewegen. Keine Ahnung, wo auch die Kamera sein soll.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, Moment. Ich hab da so eine Gedanke. Ich zeige euch nochmal die Untertitel mit an. Soll geschaltet werden. Ach, Mist. Tut mir leid. Ach, Mensch. Ja, starten wir ganz kurz neu. Mir sagt irgendwie, glaube ich, so das Spiel was. Denn ich habe das, glaube ich, irgendwo schon mal gesehen.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Genau, wir überspringen das Ganze mal. Also, hier sind wir jetzt. Namens Stanley.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Genau, er kann keine Mitarbeiter finden. Außer hier, dass ein PC an ist, aber das hat ja nichts zu sagen. Natürlich sind auch alle Türen geschlossen. Dass man natürlich nicht durch kann. Username Assess. Oh, jetzt habe ich ausgemacht. Liegt das hier auch? Oh, ja. Okay. Ja.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Okay, ja.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ich soll durch die linke Tür gehen.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ja, genau. Sieht so ein bisschen aus wie Gefängniszellen, ne?
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Okay, ja, wir gehen weiter.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Es ist nur ein Lagerraum. Hier mal geradeaus.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ja, irgendwie sagt mir das Spiel was, ne?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Okay, hier ist auf jeden Fall ein dunkler Raum.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Na gut.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Ach Mensch, warum denn nicht? Mensch.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Guten Morgen, Erstellter, drücke E auf der Tastatur.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Okay, mach ich. So, wie lange soll ich denn warten? Okay, es geht, glaube ich, nicht weiter, oder? Ich drücke jetzt.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps Maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I
Okay. Bitte stirb. Es lädt. Okay. Also. Das war, glaube ich, was wir gemacht haben, nicht so ganz richtig.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Genau. Wir gehen zur Richtung Memo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Genau. Jetzt gehen wir wirklich mal left.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Okay.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Soll ich wirklich hochgehen? Na komm. Ich wollte ja eigentlich runtergehen, ne? Oh, das sieht ja hier schön aus. Sieht ja richtig schön aus. Darf man nur nicht mal ins Bad, Mensch. Hey, kann doch nicht hin. Schade. Okay. Da ist was, komme ich aber nicht rein. Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Da geht's abwärts. Was passiert? Ich bin gespannt.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ja, natürlich geht er kaputt. Fahrstuhl. Wird mich ja nicht wundern.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Oder ins Escape. Komm.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Was ist denn da unten? Ach komm, jetzt bin ich hier hingegangen, jetzt gehe ich hier runter. Okay, nein. Nein. Okay. Fangen wir wieder unten.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
What? Das war der richtige Weg? Nein. The Stanley Portable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Nein. Nein. Ah, nee. Aber wo kommen wir da hin? Moment, jetzt gehe ich mal kurz hier hin. Nee, da geht nichts auf. Okay.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Office Layout, okay. Corridor. And 2 doors. Okay. Office Computer. Okay. Moment, haben wir jetzt gerade das Spiel geschafft? Button Sounds. Okay. Es kann ja nicht sein, dass wir das jetzt schon geschafft haben, weil hier die Credits stehen, ne? Nur mal so. Vierer. Das kann ja nicht sein, oder? Dass wir jetzt das geschafft haben? Oder ist das wirklich so? Will play the Stanley Porter me. Okay. E-Mails. Nein. Ach so, okay. One option, the first choice. Get in and out. Okay, also es gibt hier auch wirklich verschiedene Wege. Das Maintenance Layout, okay. Kommst du über eine Vent dann darüber. Okay, das ist ja wirklich interessant. Wahrscheinlich so wie das Spiel so entstanden ist. Oh oh. Hört ihr das? Ich hoffe, es lädt gerade. Oh oh. Ich glaube, das hat sich gerade verabschiedet, das Spiel. Das hat sich wirklich verabschiedet. Oh, Entschuldigung. Entschuldigung, das ist wirklich so. Das hat sich gerade wirklich verabschiedet. Das ist ja mal ärgerlich, ne? Dass das Spiel abstürzt. Eieiei. Aber die Frage ist, haben wir das jetzt durch oder haben wir das nicht durch? Ich weiß es nicht. Also wir gehen jetzt gleich nochmal in das Spiel rein. Wir schauen uns jetzt nochmal andere Wege an. So. Ich weiß nämlich nicht, ob das jetzt wirklich schon das Finale war, wie wir gegangen sind. Weil wenn das wirklich das Finale war, wie wir gegangen sind, dann ist das natürlich wirklich ein sehr, sehr schnelles Spiel, ne? Also, das wäre cool, aber...
This is the story.
Okay, wir überspringen das mal ganz schnell. So. Und gehen erstmal hier durch.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Genau, Mr. Memo. Also wir können jetzt den linken Weg gehen oder den
When
rechten.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wir nehmen die rechte Seite jetzt.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth it, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Letztens sind wir da lang gegangen, ne? Ach, gehen wir jetzt mal hier rein.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Okay. Nee, warte mal. Das ist doch hier back on track. Da waren wir doch schon. Oder? Also wir könnten hier runtergehen. So, Meeting Room.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Okay. Also wir sind letztens zum Boss hochgegangen. Und als wir oben waren, konnten wir einen anderen Weg wählen noch, ne? Genau. Ich gehe jetzt mal runter.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ich gehe jetzt mal runter.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Yeah.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
No.
Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Okay, jetzt sind wir wieder wach.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay. Ich glaube, das war kein richtiger Weg, den wir gegangen sind. Genau. Okay. Ja. Keine Anforderung, also gehen wir raus.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Genau. Ich gehe jetzt aber trotzdem nochmal den rechten Weg.
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes. This room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nein, jetzt nicht.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So, wenn wir hier runterfallen, ist das, glaube ich, ein bisschen blöd. Deswegen würde ich einfach mal jetzt hier auf dieses Gitter raufkommen, um da rauszukommen.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Okay, also wir kommen hier in den Danger-Raum. Oha. Oha, ich glaube, das ist auch nicht ganz richtig.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Warum nicht durch die weiße? Schade. Ah, rot oder link? Eigentlich sagt er ja rote, ne? Also, ach komm, wir gehen durch die rote.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop.
Shit.
We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Danke. Ja, nur leider ist das dann nicht der Weg, den...
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Okay.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Soll ich zurück? Aber was soll ich hier? So ein Licht. Okay, ja, das sieht doch wieder schöner aus. Ah ja, oh, schön. Ah, toll. Ah, ja, aber nee. Was soll ich da so lange warten?
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Why? Ich gehe da hoch. Ich kann Treppen laufen.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Nee, da runter will ich nicht. Weil dann bin ich ja tot. Das weiß ich ja, ne? Ja, aber... Hast du nichts Schöneres für mich?
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
Komm, wir bleiben jetzt hier mal so ein bisschen stehen. Ja, ja. Nun? Passiert hier noch was? Oder dann doch eher nicht? Hätten wir doch da hochlaufen sollen und springen. Naja, wobei, wir können ja auch hier, ne? Nee. Komm nicht raus. Shit.
No! What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here.
Ja,
You
komm.
heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
Okay, das überhören wir jetzt mal. Ein Jumping.
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Ich kann natürlich wieder runtergehen, ne? Ach komm.
No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room? No, 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 what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Aber wenn wir jetzt da wieder zurückgehen, haben wir doch wieder dieses, ne? Ist doch langweilig. Ja.
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
Ist langweilig. Jetzt. Aber wirklich langweilig.
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
Komm, ich springe jetzt hier nochmal runter.
Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
Mach mal diese Tür hier auf. Eins, zwei, drei.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Machen wir doch die Tür auf. Machen wir diese Tür auf, dann komme ich hier raus. Ich spring nochmal. Yeah!
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Das soll langsam mal tot sein hier, oder? Das kann nicht sein.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Okay. Okay. Das war also auf jeden Fall ein Weg, den man nicht gehen sollte. Aber wir haben ja jetzt die falsche Tür genommen. Deswegen.
The meeting room.
Wir haben
Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
Denn wir haben da ja noch einen anderen Raum.
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Okay.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nein. So.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Also die Frage ist, kann ich hier
Look,
irgendwie
Stanley,
auch
I think perhaps
runterspringen?
we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Okay. Nein, das war auf jeden Fall auch nicht richtig. Ich glaube, den Weg, den wir vorhin da
Stanley
genommen
thought to
haben.
himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Ja, weil wir gehen dann jetzt dann nicht durch die rote Tür, sondern gleich durch die blaue Tür, wenn wir da einmal drüber sind.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room,
Denn
and
ich
Stanley
denke-
knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Den Weg, den wir vorhin genommen hatten.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Weil hier müssen wir auch noch rein, um da runterzufahren. Das interessiert
Stanley
mich
was
auch.
so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So, das ist auf jeden Fall da oben ein toter...
Look, Stanley, I think
toter
perhaps
Weg.
we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Nope, ich gehe die blaue.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Dose blue.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Nein, die blaue.
All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Warte mal. Ist hier eine orangene Tür?
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh, well, now this is useful. You didn't like it, but you didn't totally hate it either. You enjoyed it, perhaps is the correct term. It didn't cause you excruciating pain. Big steps we've made here today, Stanley. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Okay, hier sind jetzt World-Seiten. This is yours. 7, 8 und 7, 3. Wir spielen, glaube ich, schon 7 Minuten 37 an diesem Level.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Ach, wie langweilig. Okay, ich drück jetzt mal nicht drauf.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out, I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Well, Stanley, is this any better? At last, the one thing you've always desired. A game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose. Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house.
Wo?
This will go here.
Ach, da.
No, here. And then... Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all off, yes, it's complete. I made this, Stanley. Look at it. Gaze upon my work of art and feel ashamed at your own inadequacy. Ah, but you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable.
Muss ich das? Na komm.
Isn't it grand? Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining. Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light?
Nö. Hast du?
Oh, no. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds couldn't save this one. Okay, new game.
Ach, Mist. Schade, ich hätte da vielleicht noch runtergekonnt. Aber okay. So, was kommt denn jetzt? Jetzt bin ich gespannt.
Yes! I don't even know what this game is, but I love it. You, trapped in a glass box with no way out, listening to me talk. Oh, it's inspired. I couldn't have done it any better myself. What is this game even supposed to be? I can't figure it out. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is.
Wie geil.
Oh, it's a puzzle. Critical thinking, Stanley. Your forte. Genius. No, actually, you know what? I think that's plenty. I really don't care much to see you stumble through any more of these games. And I highly doubt you're any wiser for the experience. Which is why, rather than continue to waste my time, I'm just going to leave you here. You can pretend you've beaten the game if it makes it any richer for you, but as for me, I've had enough. So, why don't you get cozy in this room, and if you have any grand revolutionary ideas for the perfect video game, you can just sit there and let it ball up inside you for all eternity. I don't need your advice. I don't need your ratings. And I certainly don't need the validation of a man whose job is to push buttons. I think I'll just go about my business, making meaningful cultural contributions to the world. And perhaps every now and then I'll think back to a man named Stanley who was objectively wrong in every decision he ever made. The thought won't last long. Goodbye, Stanley. Good luck with your work. And I sincerely hope that everyone lives happily ever after.
So, ja, und jetzt? Tür ist zu. Muss ich jetzt hier runter? Ah. Oh. Okay. Das ist jetzt aber ein bisschen crazy, ne? Okay, wo sind wir denn jetzt? Okay. Nice. Na, jetzt wird's cool. Jetzt wird das Spiel cool. Vier, zwei, sie. Nein. Ich will doch eigentlich nicht in meinen Raum zurück. Aber das ist wohl so. Shit. Nein, nein. Unser Raum. Okay. Also gibt's hier noch was? Oder was? Nein.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Ja, ich nicht eigentlich. Ach, mal gucken. Ach, jetzt passiert was. Oh. Okay. Hier ist nichts. Eine 427.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Genau. Wir gehen jetzt aber dann gleich mal durch die rechte Tür nochmal. Und nehmen dann mal den Lift nach unten.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this route? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Yup.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ich nahm den Lift. Gucken, was passiert.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, From here, it's, left.
Die Frage ist, ne, ich bin jetzt gerade durch die Tür leider durch. Kannst du auch noch weiter...
Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh, dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Definitely. Meinst du doch nicht hier lang? Sei dazu die Tür.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Okay,
All of his co-workers were gone.
Okay.
What could it mean?
wir gehen jetzt wirklich den
Stanley
Weg.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So, zack.
When Stanley... Wait, what?
What?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Ja, wo ist denn die Story? Ich weiß es nicht. Moment. Ach, hier geht's ja auch noch mal durch. Nein! Scheit!
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Okay. Ist jetzt das alles wieder richtig? Ich weiß es nicht.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Machen wir so. Wir gehen links.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Da ist eine Tür offen. Warum ist da eine Tür offen?
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Ugh.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Okay. Jetzt haben wir hier sogar schon eine Linie.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Sogar eine TM sogar mit dabei. Wait, what? Warum denn jetzt hier abbiegen? Hier sind aber auch keine Türen offen. Okay. What's this? Okay, ja, dann folgen wir jetzt wirklich die Linie.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ja, hier sind andere.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Nur mal ehrlich, ne? Das ist jetzt wirklich so ein bisschen das Spiel, ne? Nur mal so, wir folgen hier dieser Linie. Nochmal. Okay.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Ich weiß gar nicht.
Now, Yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Ich habe so das Gefühl.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Links nicht? Geht nicht auf. Shit. Hinten auch nicht. Okay. It's a confused ending.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do happen to have a...
Entschuldigung. So, okay. Ist komisch, aber jetzt sind wir, glaube ich, wieder.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Also 17 Minuten haben wir gerade gespielt in der Story. Ich glaube, jetzt ist alles wieder ganz normal.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yes.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Doch, hier ist keiner.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
So. Wir können hier, da fahren wir aber, glaube ich, runter. Das wollen wir natürlich nicht. Also nehmen wir einen Fahrstuhl. So. Und wir sind letztens, haben wir da, glaube ich, diesen Gang gemacht, dass wir...
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Dass wir ihm mal vertraut, dass wir ihm nicht vertraut haben und dann
Stanley
abgebogen
walked
sind.
straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Genau. Deswegen gehen wir jetzt hier lang. Mal gucken, was passiert.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Okay. Also, wir haben hier einen Button 5. Ich müssen wir erstmal die 1 finden. Weil da ist ja auch ein Knopf. Hier ist schon mal keine. Der ist 5. Da ist 3. Ist das die 1? Kann sie nicht richtig erkennen. Nee, hier ist die 1. Vier. Moment. Hä? 1, 2, 4. Wo ist die 3? Das ist 5. Ach, hier. Stimmt. Aber hier ist noch ein roter Knopf. Moment. 5. Passiert nichts, okay. Ich drücke jetzt hier mal den roten Knopf. Geht nicht. Passiert gar nichts. Okay. Also müssen wir jetzt erstmal rein.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Genau, Moment.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Wir haben das gerade wirklich durchgespielt. Mit dem richtigen Weg. Cool. Also der Weg mit dem anderen Gang war wohl dann doch ein bisschen falsch.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Okay. Ich möchte es aber gerne noch mal wissen.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wir haben ja vorhin den anderen Weg da mit dem Ding gehabt, mit dem Museum.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Genau, ich mach das nochmal ganz fix. 2845.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Jetzt geht das hier schon ein bisschen mehr Gas, das Spiel. Nice. Ist das dann doch noch nicht das ganze Ende? Doch, eigentlich schon, ne? So, wir kommen jetzt gleich wieder unten an.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
So, wir sind ja dann nicht gleich ganz tot, glaube ich. Ja, wer weiß das schon.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Genau, und jetzt sind wir nämlich hier. Und hier geht
And
gleich...
yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Also angeblich sollen wir jetzt tot sein. Ich glaube es aber nicht so richtig. Wir sind hier jetzt gerade so im Museum. Hier waren wir ja gerade auch schon mal so ein bisschen, bis das Spiel uns dann gesagt hat, du bist abgestürzt. Deswegen, wir gucken uns jetzt hier nochmal so ein kleines bisschen um. Guck mal, hier sind Ketten. Hier ist ein Exit Room. Countdown Desk. Hier waren wir doch schon, oder? Der Sprecher, der dann ein paar Versprecher gemacht hat. Okay. Okay, also jetzt gehen wir hier nochmal hoch. Also wir könnten jetzt hier so einen Exit nehmen. Aber das möchte ich eigentlich noch nicht. Wir haben hier drüben noch einen Raum. Gucken wir mal, was hier ist. Ach so, hier sind einfach nur Räume ausgestellt. Ach so, wie sie vielleicht aussehen könnten. Ne, also sind schon alle ein bisschen unterschiedlich aufgebaut. Einer davon wird es ja dann. Und ja. Damit gehen wir dann hier in den Exit-Raum.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Okay. So, und was kommt jetzt? Bin jetzt verwirrt. Es ist schwarz. Es passiert gar nichts. Das ist immer dann so ein Moment, wo du dann nicht weißt, ja, hängt das Spiel jetzt oder... Nein, es hängt gar nicht. Das läuft. Es läuft. Ich mache jetzt gar nichts. Passiert da noch was? Ich weiß das nicht. Soll ich rausgehen? Ich glaube, ich gehe raus, ne? Ja. Machen wir. Back to Menu. Auf jeden Fall, es war ein wirklich sehr, sehr cooles Spiel. So Stanley Parable. Oder Parable. Wirklich cooles Spiel. Schaut es euch gerne an, falls ihr Bock habt und es vielleicht nicht so schnell lösen möchtet wie ich. Weil ich war ja schon wirklich sehr, sehr nah am Ziel dran, bis ich dann gesagt habe, ach komm, ich schaue mir die anderen auch noch an. Ist aber wirklich ein cooles Spiel. Schaut gerne mal vorbei. Mir hat es auf jeden Fall Spaß gemacht und das war es auch mit ePlay Live für heute. Morgen sehen wir uns wieder mit einem coolen Spiel. Schaut gerne im Programmplan auf Twitch vorbei, damit ihr wisst, wann wir was streamen. Und sonst natürlich auch auf unsere Socials. Ich bin jetzt raus. Nach Tschüss und Wiedersehen. Bis zum nächsten Mal und ciao.